What's happening, you guys? Welcome to another edition of Gate 7 International. Actually, this is our first show, our first preseason show of Gate 7 International after an interesting season that we just had. I am Costas Llanos, of course, or Costas with a K, and I'm joined by none other than my dear colleague and friend Marcial Debo, and everyone's favorite Gate 7 International host, Labro Sirmos. Marcial, Labro, how are you?
Fine, super fine, I would say. How are you,
Yeah,
Contos?
yeah, you should be fine. You should be fine. I mean, you're set for an experience of a lifetime because we're hearing our own Marcial will be covering the Olympics for La Nouvelle République. Is that right, Marcial?
Yeah, it's totally right. I hope it will bring some gold medals to France, but I'm expecting a shit show actually in Paris.
I saw the beds. What a shit show. Like the beds they made, the cardboard beds and then you can flip them over or whatever to make it more firm or more. Oh my God.
yeah.
Well, you know how we call those cardboard things in some of the places that I've lived in London?
What? Beds?
Deluxe beds. That's what we call them over there. That's what we call them over there. The
seriously,
places I've lived in London.
And then I saw some people brought portable air conditioning with them. Like, imagine being in the shitty temporary housing with no air conditioning in Paris in the summer. It's got to be miserable. So,
well, it is absolutely hot here in Greece as well, and I don't have any air conditioning in this place that I'm at. I need to be right next to the router because we do have a few issues with the internet. But I'll tell you what, guys, to all of you who have joined us, thank you so much. Apologies for the hour. It's apologies to all of our non-European friends for the hour because, well, it's summertime and we all have our different schedules right now. But we do promise we are gonna make it a little more pro-European and pro-non-European. So, guys, to all of you who have joined us, please, if you haven't done so, please do like and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm, helps the pod grow as well, and we keep growing. I mean, the things we keep doing. We were all at the stadium only a few months ago. Marcial, Dimitris, and I were at the press box. Labros and Costas were rocking it at the with all the home fans. We can call them home fans. Yeah. Costas made history, and he's got to be part of history for the rest of eternity with Koza's tears. We got Gaza's tears, and we have Koza's tears. So, guys, please do like and subscribe, and we're going to be bringing you a lot more interesting projects. I mean, quite recently, we had none other than Olympiacos' vice president, Kostas Karapapas, a historic interview right there. Labro, you were there. You hit on a lot of interesting topics. I mean, is that the biggest interview in the pod's history, Labro?
I think so. I wasn't prepared for that question, but I think it was the biggest.
It was, though. It was.
I think it was one of the best interviews. So another plug to go watch that. I think if you listen closely to a lot of what he said, it explains Olympiacos' business so far this summer and what has happened. I know people are mad always about this team. No, not enough transfers, too many transfers, didn't resign. So if you go listen to the interview, I think you get clarity on kind of the strategy of the club and what is going on. I haven't been surprised the past 3 weeks after speaking with Costa. So anyway, if you haven't listened to the podcast, I think it's still relevant. Really great interview, 3 hours, delightful conversations, funny stories behind the scenes, and really a perspective that people deserve to hear more about. So,
and there is a chance for them to get a little extra perspective if only they support us on Patreon. So, guys, do check us out on Patreon. You can join us for as little as $1 a month. I mean, the thing. What can you buy with $1 a month in this world anymore, except for amazing coverage and content from Gate 7 International? I mean, guys, do join us. We also have a WhatsApp group that has a life of its own, and in this WhatsApp group, you're going to get to see some interesting conversations, such as this one from George Haralabopoulos. Labro, you're getting heat here regarding Gerasimos, who's with a Z now. I see. Why is Gerasimos with a Z right now, Labro? Any intel on that?
I think George just can't spell. He sent another one with an S. So I think he's just having trouble on a Sunday. But enjoy. There's vivid debates going on in the Patreon group. We have, I think, I can look right now. What is it, like 60 people in this group chat on the Patreon group? So if you want to join the debate, join the discussions. They get animated, they're exciting, and we release information that sometimes we won't release publicly within this chat. So
Absolutely right, my man. Γιώργο Ολυμπιακό, thank you so much. Καλό απόγευμα και σε σένα, αδερφέ μου. And guys, if you haven't done so already, do check our merch. We have merch at gate7international.com, gate7intl.com. You can get yourself some lovely t-shirts, some lovely caps, some lovely sweaters, hoodies. We got it all over there. Do check us out, guys. And also, if you buy a cap, do let us know where you bought it from. Just take a photo with a cap in front of a landmark of your respective country, so you know where you got it from. So we can help grow the community. So, guys, it's been a while since we had a show. A lot of things are happening at Olympiacos. Every day is a new day at this team. Jose Luis Mendilibar, of course, he signed his new contract. He's staying for another year at Olympiacos after this historic season where we became the first ever Greek club to win a European title. A lot of things have happened. A lot of good things have happened, but I think it's good to start with the not so good things that happened, just to get it out of the way, because it's been a while since they happened. Olympiacos tried their best to keep David Carmo and also club legend. I'm going to dare call him a club legend, Kostas Fortounis, but it didn't work out. David Carmo, Olympiacos offered 12 million euro. That's a record, Greek football record. No one has ever signed a player for that much money. We almost broke our own transfer record that stood since 1999 with Zlatko Zahovic, who joined for about the same. It was drachmas back then, but it was pretty much 12 to 11 million euros based on my calculations. But Carmo opted to stay at Porto because the new manager, Vitor Bruno, wants him and he sees him as a starter. And it makes sense because Porto, I mean, he's Porto's record signing, and they want to see their investment pay off, even though they would have gotten a really good payoff, financial, that is, from Olympiacos. I mean, David Carmo, we know for a fact he's a very sentimental guy. He's an amazing player, but he's also very sentimental. I mean, he's the kind of guy that wants to play for people that trust him. Like, he's the kind of player, Carmo, that would go to Real Madrid, and if Carlo Ancelotti sent him with a Castilla, he'd be miserable. I mean, it's a dream to play for Real Madrid for any footballer, but if Ancelotti didn't want him, he'd be miserable. But with Olympiacos, a team that's definitely not Real Madrid, they believed in him. They turned him into a star, and he gave it his all. I'm going to start with you, Labro, here. I'm going to start a little alphabetically. What do you make of the loss of David Carmo at Olympiacos?
I think it's pretty devastating defensively. We saw what he brought to the team last year, but I think people can understand. I don't think people are very upset because the status of Porto as a team and coming back into the team, it all makes sense logically. And I do think if you again listen to the Karapapas interview, you understand that Olympiacos gave everything to try to sign him. And you never know by the end of the summer what will happen. You know, who knows? He goes into the preseason, things work, things don't work. Maybe there's another opportunity. Maybe in December, another opportunity comes up. So it's disappointing. I think he really brought stability to the team. I think also he brought power within the air going forward and defensively from set pieces. I think if you look at our central defenders now, we don't have much in the air. Also losing Ibora, we've lost quite a bit aerial threats, again, offensively and defensively. So those are things I'm a bit worried about moving forward. We signed a central defender, which is jumping ahead of ourselves. But I think we can all appreciate David Carmo for what he brought, what he did. And obviously losing out on him is disappointing, but it's understandable. And we leave that window open. That's my opinion. So
I completely agree with you, Labro. I think David Carmo will go down in history like Martin Novoselac or Olof Mellberg or Kostas Manolas. He brought the kind of security at the back that we rarely see at Olympiacos. And Marcial, I want to hear your opinion on the loss of Carmo, and I would like you to address this comment from Ben de Rosia on Abbey, because there's a lot of excitement about Nelson Abbey at Olympiacos. He's very young. He was quite impressive in England. So what do you make of the whole situation?
I kind of agree with Lambros because it was an opportunity for us to get a very good player in January. And sometimes we know that in January you can get players that probably are too good for you, if I can say that, because it was as you said, the most expensive signing of Porto, but he got into an issue with Conceição, the coach. And I think he basically needed to play 6 months of football, no matter where. And it went further the expectation because we won the Conference League, and probably no one was expecting that, including Carmo, Porto, every loanee that came for Carvajal, basically. And I'm disappointed he left, but at the same time, I had no hope for him to stay because the Porto is not a club in which you can bargain with a player like that, because Carmo basically worth like 10 million at on the market, and there is no chance we get him on a permanent transfer. So the good thing is that we moved on his case quite quickly on the summer. We've signed Pirola, and also we have Abi, that is probably for me, apart from the young Greek player we have from the under 19.
Koutsidis.
Yeah, Abi is probably the biggest talent we have to handle, foreign talent, if I can say that. And also, I think Retsos improved a lot due to Carmo, and now is due to be the leader of the defense. And maybe we will see an improved Retsos, as we saw on the final, for example. And so the defense for me has what it takes to fill the gap left by Carmo. Hopefully, I will be right, because Carmo was a very good defender, as you said, and it's not easy to find out on the market. But the good thing is that Pirola has a heavy resume for a young player already. Like, he played a lot of games in Italy, and we know Italy is the best school for defenders. So I'm quite not scared about the defense sector.
Okay. More confident than last year with Ferreira and Poroso, you would say.
Yeah.
That I can agree. And before we get to one of the greatest Kostases in Olympiacos history, we have another great Kostas who's joining us. And that's none other than our co-host, Kostas Levogiannis, who's in Kastoria right now. He's trying to convert as many as possible up north to Olympiacos. Of course, the north is more into kind of like the Thessaloniki kind of teams. And he saw a kid wearing the Marcin Mietzel jersey. I remember Marcin Mietzel. He was quite a player, and Olympiacos almost signed him back then in 2004. Instead, they got Marcin Kuzba. Anybody remember Marcin Kuzba?
No.
Injury prone, very injury prone. It was between that and Marcin Mietzel. Instead, they were both Polish. Instead, we got Kuzba, who's a complete flop. Mietzel, an amazing player. But yeah, Costa, I mean, it's okay, man. I mean, I don't think Olympiacos really struggle in Greece when it comes to having fans. What we do need, though, is anybody watching us from around the world to like and subscribe and join us on Patreon, guys. That's what we need. Here, we got Sir Kinetic from London. Thank you so much for joining us, man. So now, guys, we're going to another sad development. Honestly, I was a bit surprised by that. I really believe that out of everyone who was out of contract, I really believe Kostas Fortounis would have stayed. I mean, here's the guy who turned down West Ham in 2019, the chance to play in the Premier League, probably even as a starter for West Ham. He would have played next to Declan Rice. I mean, that's something I would have loved to see, only to stay at Olympiacos. But you know what? This chapter has ended after 10 amazing years at Olympiacos. There were a few niggles along the way, but Fortounis' contribution to this team is undeniable. Vangelis Marinakis did everything he could to keep Fortounis at Olympiacos with a very heavy contract. There was crying in the office as well from Kostas Fortounis, because this is how tough this decision was for him. But at the end of the day, a Saudi team came by offering him a 2-year contract, 3 million a year, 6 million in total, which is something unsaid unprecedented for Greek footballers. And you know what? At the end of the day, everybody knows my opinion about all the sports washing that's happening in Saudi Arabia. at the end of the day, he deserves the money. He deserves, his family deserves the security, the happiness. He deserves to make the decision that he wants. So, guys, first time in 10 years without Kostas Fortounis officially, because obviously we remember when he was taken off the team. Let's switch it up a little. Martial, I mean, you've had your opinions about Kostas Fortounis. What do you make of the situation right now, where we're officially Olympiacos are officially Fortounis less?
It's mixed emotions, because the first one would be probably I'm happy because the way he leaves is what a legend deserved. Like, how many players have left the club, any club in Europe or in the world, without the ending they deserve? Like, he left with a European trophy, the first one for a Greek club. I think it was his most consistent season with us, because I'm not counting the season with Marco Silva, because the Greek league at the time wasn't as good as it's now, and he had like 2 big injuries later. So I'm happy on a way, because I would have been pained to see Fortunis having a disappointing season, but also I'm quite mad on the fact that he decides to go to Saudi Arabia, because
Yeah.
he deserves to try his luck in a better league than the Greek league, and I just don't see him staying more than 1 season in Saudi Arabia. If he wants the money, it's okay, but maybe just go to MLS, or just pick a club in Europe that can get you a decent wage, but with a better challenge to play. I mean, it's disappointing to see Fortunis go there. Otherwise, I'm quite neutral over his departure, because I think it can be a newer era for the club. It will be difficult, yes, because we know which player we're losing, but it can open some. Some players will be asked to step up. You know what I mean? And it can be a revelation for other players. And I'm also quite disappointing by how it was handled by the club. It should have been closed way before the end of the season. And it should be a lesson for the next season. Like, if we have a key player with an ending contract, we should not wait until July to settle the case.
Well, I mean, we do have a couple of fans here, Fragiskos and Anarchidi. Well, there's a name for you, who are claiming that Kostas Fortounis was kind of slowing down towards the last few months of his contract, during that turbulent season that we had. I mean, he started extremely well. He was our best player by far in Europe and in Greece, especially in Europe. But I feel like, he did his part, and more than just that, in the closing months. I mean, it has been mentioned that he was playing a little more defensively under Mendilibar, which is something he hasn't done for any manager he's played under, and he's played for a lot of managers. What do you make of that, Labro? What do you make of his last few months at Olympiacos and his general contribution to the club?
I don't know. I kind
You
of
don't know. Of course you know it, Labro. Yeah, you know what to say. Hi, Sparrow.
Like, I kind of echo what Martial has to say. Fortounis, such a complicated player. I guess anyone who stays 10 years at Olympiacos has such a complicated legacy. Well, he will go down and have a great legacy at the club. And he played great the first half of the season. But indeed, I think his name is so heavy around the club, his persona, his love around the fans, that it was difficult for him to be benched. He needed to be in the lineup. And, he would always take the free kicks. He would always take the corners, even though he hasn't been very good at them for almost a year or two. And he's a great player. Like, now we're missing a player almost like Fortounis to open up teams in Greece, more specifically, is what I'm afraid about. Honestly, in Europe, I'm less afraid, which is a weird thing to say. But in Greece, it's going to be such a struggle to open these deep-lying teams. I think about quite a bit, Asteras Tripoli playing deep in their stadium in January or February, or Pas Giannina. And Fortounis has played so long in Greece that he understands these pitches, these teams, and how they play. Greek football, he understands so well. And whoever we bring in will not be to replace him. I don't think you replace him per se, the type of profile. I don't know. And it's almost like the end of an era, not just like at Olympiacos, like maybe at Olympiacos, but like the era of the 10, the dominant 10. It's like not only Fortounis, but it feels like the end of such a long era of like Chori Dominguez, Fortounis. Like you can go back of just the dominant 10 at
David Fuster.
Olympiacos. David Fuster, like Olympiacos has always had a 10. And it seems as if we are about to enter the modern era of football where we don't have a profile like that anymore. And I don't think we're going to sign a profile. And it's interesting. And it's completely new, I think. Like this sort of, for Greek football, for Olympiacos fans, like going into a season without that dominant creator, goal creator, whatever at that position, it's like it's a new era of football that will be brought to Olympiacos, because I don't think Olympiacos is playing 4-2-3-1. We played 4-2-3-1 for almost 15 years. I don't think we're going to be playing that anymore. And the identity of the club is almost changing with Fortounis, if that makes sense at all, like what I'm saying. So it's so much more complicated than just his legacy and what he's done as a player. It's also just shows a shift at Olympiacos and adapting to the change in times, and I think I've had my issues with him tracking back, creating, being able to stay fit for more than 60 minutes, be able to be on the pitch for longer than 65 minutes. But it brings back a lot of amazing memories, amazing things he did. And I think we can all appreciate that, but also for me, I'm very excited to see this new era of Olympiacos without Fortounis.
The thing that is frustrating is that he's leaving when he has done the most difficult. Like he overturned everything on Olympiacos, because when Martins decided to cut him, the results gave like pretty much reason to Martins, because the team was playing nice. Valbuena came, we had Pedense too, and the thing is, he had the way he played with Mendilibar.
He was injured then. He was injured then.
And he had to came back. He was cut into the B team. He had to reduce his wage, and he's leaving because he's leaving on the moment. He transformed the way he played. Like with Mendilibar, he was defending. He was running back. He was a useful player for Olympiacos. Even when he wasn't scoring or assisting, and that's why I'm frustrating over his choice, because I don't understand his choice. He wants less pressure. I get that, because it's for I think.
But I think you're overestimating how many people want to pay 3 to 4 million euros.
No, no one's want to pay that for him. But
no one except a shitty club in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's true.
With Donis specifically, if there was no Donis or Greek connection, there would be no money. There's no market for there's no market for a 2 torn ACL player who wants a huge salary in modern football in a serious competitive league, right? Like no one is pulling out the checkbook, giving 3 million euros a season to a player who has 2 ACL injuries, struggles to track back, is on the wrong side of 30. That's just the truth. So there's not a big market. It's like maybe a few teams in the MLS and maybe a Saudi offer. So.
But you touching something I wanted to say, but we can come back on that later. But the Conference League, when you think about it, it gives no hype to player. Like it's been more than a month, and you have El Kaabi that probably wanted to leave for the whole summer. He got no offer. Fortounis got the Donis offer, and a part of that, it's like we have no hype on the market, if I can say. It's a good sign for the Olympiacos because we can work with more discretion. But I was expecting like Retsos being targeted by clubs, Tsolakis harder to renew, stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I was overestimating the weight of winning a Conference League.
I think a few things. I think Tsolakis, for example, already basically was in agreement with Olympiacos before. That's one. Costa with the C has talked about it, his Cretan roots and speaking with people in Crete or whatever. With Retsos, man, if you take it on the whole, and I know I'm gonna go there, the guy is very injury prone. It was his first full season back, where he proved that he can stay fit and play. But he made a few catastrophic mistakes that could have ended our season in Europe. That with the flip of a coin could have ended the season in Europe, and he cracked under pressure in important games. I'm thinking of the penalty giveaway against Maccabi Tel Aviv when we had the momentum, the penalty when we had all the momentum against Fenerbahce. So I think people who were evaluating Retsos on the market, European teams, would say, yes, he had a great final. Yes, he stayed fit. But in the big moments, he made rash decisions. He got quite a few red cards. He gave away quite a few penalties. Are you going to pay a player who, again, has major injury problems even more than 4 to 5 million euros? Like, I don't see someone paying that money for Retsos now. Maybe another good season and he's more stable. So I don't think there were a lot of players that... I'm surprised Heze hasn't got more interest, Martial, if that's one player, I think. But
yeah, Heze, but maybe even Horta. Like Horta came back in Braga, and no one seems to try to get him. Like we are facing basically no competition. It's the same for Podense. Like we've been like, it's more than a month that Olympiacos fans are asking for Podense to come back, and you're just thinking like this guy could be playing in any league, any top league. He could play in a lot of club in the top 5 of the top 5 leagues.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Kosta.
No, go ahead, Labro. Go ahead.
I think for Podense, you see people in the comments say, Marinakis pull out the money, give 6 million euros, and it's just, who the fuck came up with 6 million euros? Like, that's not real. That does not exist. It like exists in the fans because some journalist wrote there was an option for 6 million euros. Like, Wolves will try to sell him for 12 to 15. They see he's had a good season. They see he's done well. The problem for Wolves is
what I do know, it's 5 to 10 million. What I do know is that they're open to that range.
It's north of 6. There's no way. I think 10 is probably what they're asking right now because it's fucking mid-July, and also they're still trying to evaluate whether they think he's a helpful profile for their own team. So
he wasn't at the friendly. He didn't play at their last friendly against Bristol City, though.
Anyway,
not at all. He wasn't even part of the team.
I think the Podense thing will end up positively and he'll come back. That's my opinion, but it takes time.
He wants to big time.
And it's going to take time in the market. I think Horta is also going to come back. I think he's not going to play very much for Braga and he'll be kind of cut by them and he'll be available as well. So I'm not too worried about them. But, Marcia, like we talk about some of the players not having interest and other things. This was a team, this is a team that really underperformed in the league. Like we came in 3rd place. We got knocked out in the cup in the round of 16. The Conference League run was magical, but a lot of players underperformed or were inconsistent throughout the season. And just, when clubs are going through the data, scouting and going through things, they're going to evaluate that as well. So I do think that we have hyped some of our players up because of the historic win and it was magical. But on the look of things, it wasn't a great year for Olympiacos outside of the Conference League in that run post Maccabi Tel Aviv. It was very difficult. So, I think we're flying under the radar and we don't need to sign that many players. We need to sign like 4 or 5 players and our business is done. So slowly but surely things will get done and the team will be made. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, I mean, I would like just to close the whole Fortounis thing. I would like to say that to me, Fortounis is a once in a generation kind of player when it comes to Greek football, of course, right? Because I mean, when you take it globally, there's always a new kid. There's always someone new. Here's Erling Haaland. Here's Kylian Mbappe. Here's Lamine Yamal. Here's Nico Williams. There's always someone bursting onto the scene. Whereas in Greece, it's once every, 20, 30 years. You talk you have your Vasilis Hatzipanagis, you have your Saravakos, you have your Domazos, you have your Delikaris. Fortounis is that kind of player, because Greece is very well known for creating really good goalkeepers, really good defenders. That's what pretty much won us Euro 2004. We didn't have a single world-class player in that team. We didn't have a single impressive player in this team. Like you see Spain winning it. Oh, Lamine Yamal. You see France kicking ass. Oh, Kylian Mbappe. You see Argentina, Lionel Messi. Brazil, Neymar. Greece didn't have that. Which it kind of creates a few questions, like, was Kostas Fortounis born at the wrong time, maybe? I mean, could he have been part of that Euro 2004 team and created more solutions and made it easier for Otto Rehagel? Because remember, after Euro 2004, until Fernando Santos arrived, we didn't shine at all. We didn't make it to the World Cup in 2006. We got eliminated in the group stages of Euro 2008, and although we finally did win a World Cup match in 2010, we got eliminated with quite ease in the group stages. And then Fernando Santos came over, and then we started being a little more consistent in all those major competitions. And the rest is history. We can't make it to a major competition right now to save our own lives, and that does show how strange Greece is with their best players. Because when Olympiacos won, Kostas Fortounis was always, this big star, this legend in the making. And when Olympiacos lost, Kostas Fortounis would get the most out of the most criticism, even if it wasn't down to him really that we would lose badly. It's strange how Greece deals with their best players, especially the rare ones. The player that gets you off your seat, the player that gives you the greatest moments, the player that can create something out of nothing. The fact that Kostas Fortounis didn't become a Greece legend, isn't remembered like Karagounis, like Zagorakis, like Charisteas, will always be remembered. To me, it's an absolute shame, an absolute catastrophe. I still don't understand why that happens.
But Fortounis peaked. He's been at Olympiacos for 10 years, right? Greece hasn't been to a tournament in 10 years. So
it has been a horrible situation. It has been a horrible situation at EPO, but I still remember that Armenia game where we lost 4-2, 4-3.
3-2.
I remember that goal Fortounis scored where he literally dribbled past everyone. That's who Fortounis was. Fortounis was the kind of player this team should have built around and never did. Of course, he had his imperfections, but the fact alone that this is the kind of player we're not going to see for many, many years, guys. And Olympiacos are not going to see for many years. And I am worried. I am worried right now, guys, for this coming season, because I feel like you got all those kids coming in, and you need those kids. You need those players who are going to help those kids transition smoothly. You can't expect Babis Kostoulas to come in and be Lamine Yamal. You can't expect Mouzakitis to come in and become Rodri. They need a transition. So I'm asking you right now, I'm asking my two esteemed colleagues right here, how do you expect that transition to happen now that the biggest name in Olympiacos, when it comes to Greek standards at least, is gone?
I don't think it's a problem. Perfectly.
The thing I just want to jump on what you said is that it's just another proof that Fortounis just basically quit when he has done the most difficult, because Greece, the national team of Greece, failed to reach the Euro when he decided to retire. So basically, Poyet is gone now. If Fortounis hasn't quit, he could have goes back to the Hedniki as a key player, because who else in Greece has done a better season than his at this position? And he could have renewed at Olympiacos being the star player to monitor the young great players, but he decided to leave. And to answer your question, I think the transition would be quite painful if we still think that we're gonna go far in Europe every season, because what we did last season was I don't know, it was more unexpected than Greece winning the 2004 Euro, because the team in 2004 was a real team. Like, everyone has a role. You had key players, a coach that has a plan for quite a few moments. But the team that won the Conference League, like, it came out of nowhere. Like, Carvajal brought these players, most of them on loan. Some of them were out of the European list. we lost the league. We almost ended up fourth in the league, and we won't be able to reproduce that again. But if we give time to young Greek players, I think Bouzakidis could be. He won't be Rodri, of course, because he's not as good as Rodri. But it could be like, just look at his first friendlies. What Yamal did in the European Cup of Nations should be an example. Like, they play without fear. And I think it's Unai Simon said that after the title of Spain. He said, "Hey, when I'm going to play big game like that, I'm scared, I'm stressed, I'm nervous, and I just see Yamal and Nico Williams on the bus. They are logging, smiling, dancing, and they take the game like they play football for pleasure." And I think Mutakidis and those boys, those young player coming from the under 19, will bring that extra craziness. You know, that extra craziness.
It was time. It was time for Fortounis to go. Like, things are end, eras end, things change, and we're not going to replicate it. Like this, him being at the club for 10 years was, that's not going to happen again. Players move, players leave. I don't think Muzakitis will be at Olympiacos for 20 years or 10 years, whatever. But it's time to move on. There's new, interesting things in. I think we're going to mostly miss Fortounis during the league matches, unlocking teams. But I'm also excited to see someone else take set pieces. I'm excited to see new profiles like Muzakitis come through. The club isn't buying mediocre players to replace them. I think it's an exciting time. It's sad. Olympiacos lost a legend. We respect him. Thank you for everything he's done. But he's made his choice. We gave him an offer. He declined. And we need to move on and build something new. And that's exciting for everyone involved. So it's exciting for him. Maybe not so exciting. He has to live in Saudi Arabia and play with the shittiest players in the Saudi league. Like, Nadi is his other star player. Maybe that's not super exciting, but his ton of money will be exciting. But, it's exciting for us. We're rebuilding something. We're putting things together, and we'll see. We haven't won a domestic title in
2 years.
A few years now. So it's time to build something that can win. And Fortounis was there through all of that, and we still didn't win domestic titles. So, like, it's not like Fortounis was the key to unlock everything. This is still Olympiacos. This isn't Fortounis, his club. So it's time to thank him for everything, move on, and start building something new. So that's the plan.
Well, before we move on, I'd just like to throw this out. Pep Biel had an interview. He's with Olympiacos. He's doing preseason with Olympiacos. He had an interview where he said he wants to stay at Olympiacos. Of course, he'd say that. I cannot remember many players going on record saying, "I hate it here. I want to leave yesterday." But all I'm going to say is, of course, Olympiacos will never be able to bring a manager like Carlo Ancelotti or Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola. A manager like Jose Luis Mendilibar is pretty much as good as it gets for a club of Olympiacos' caliber. And if Mendilibar cannot revive Pep Biel, if Mendilibar cannot bring the Pep Biel we remember from Copenhagen and the first few months at Olympiacos, then absolutely no one can do this. And to move on, I think, shall we? I was thinking about maybe we could look at what Olympiacos have done in this transfer window, really. We were very nervous during last season, looking at all those contracts that were running out. So right now we know who signed the new deal, and those are Kostas Zoulakis, Alexandros Paschalakis, Yorgos Masouras. That was a surprise. He looked like he had one foot at Bochum there. And, well, we never knew what was going on with Julian Biancon, but it seems like we are keeping him until 2025 unless Martial knows something extra about this.
No, it just told me after the final that he will be there this season. And he was like basically injured for the whole season. Like, he missed the preseason, and then he ended the season being injured. Like, he was operated from the wrist and the knee.
And we know now that he's staying. Oh, sorry.
No, he's staying. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And we know that now the contract is until 2025. When it comes to departures, we know Madi Kamara is gone, Fortounis, Agibu Kamara to Ludogorets, Useinu Ba to Istanbul Basaksehir, Lovera is gone, Vrusai went to Rio Ave, Pepe to Paphos, Kini is gone, El Arabi to Apoel, Ibora back to Levante, Kunde is gone, Joao Carvalho gone, Jovetic gone, and obviously we covered Carmo. He's not joining. He's not going to be at Olympiacos. And Kostas Kostoulas went to Rio Ave on loan. Ivan Brinic out on loan. Doron Leitner to Zurich. So we know those guys are gone. So we know who's staying,
incredible.
who's gone.
Isn't that incredible? It's just so many fucking people, man. I think we forget, like, people are whining, like, oh, where are the signings? What are this? We signed so many mediocre, but just so many.
Put it lightly.
Like, we need to get rid of so much fat on the team, like literally years and years and years and years of so many mediocre signings.
You know what we would need? We would need a preseason, like all the loanies that comes back. You schedule like 4 or 5 friendlies in Randy for Rangelovic. Like it's like you told those players, hey, you have a chance to go to the preseason, and you play against like Kalitea, local Athenian clubs. Because sometimes maybe you don't know, like we're short a player in the midfield.
But one thing I want to say is also the B team is not going to be playing, I think, this year. It's been disbanded or something. So you have we've always had like a lot of mediocre profiles who were like 23 in that B team. There's going to be a lot of, like, I don't even want to go through the list. Like, there's going to be a lot of guys who are kind of sticking around on the B team who need to go now as well. So it's like, there's more people that need to go, and it'll free up room on the wage bill. It'll bring us hopefully some money. It'll make room. And we knew that
Pinacas? I wonder.
Pinacas literally what happened to that guy. Like 4 years ago, he was the big thing in Greek football. Just, there's profiles like that, that are still at the club, and slowly but surely we're emptying out. Like
no, go ahead, Labro.
No, like, but what I'm saying is just, it's everything that the club's doing right now. I'm very happy with. People are whining. I see, like, where are the transfers? It's taking too long. All of these things, but slowly but surely getting rid of players. Jesus Christ, we got rid of so many salaries this summer. Big, heavy salaries, and getting El Arabi, that we have so much flexibility to make moves in the next 6 weeks that I'm very, very looking forward to. People need to remember the other Greek football teams are starting their season on Wednesday and Thursday. This Wednesday and Thursday. We're July 24th. Olympiacos does not start for another month and a half, 6 weeks. We have so much time in the transfer market. We need, I guess, like a few more signings. We have some interesting profiles we're linked to, but we're not linked to a shit ton of players. If you go, like, we are reorganizing, selling, getting rid of, releasing on free, opening wage budget, and getting some of the young players playing time to evaluate them. And then we're going to evaluate 4 to 5 profiles, not rush it, make the signings, and that is how you build a strong team. And that's not how you have 40 players, like, oh wow, Abubakar Kamara is available in June, like, let's pull the trigger.
He's still there, no?
I think he's still there. So, you know what I mean? So it's really, I prefer that we are not signing that many players right now. Like, I look forward to getting 4 to 5 more players. I think we're going to sign, I think at the end of August, there's going to be like a big name. They're going to go for a big name.
We're going for a striker. We're going for a big striker. I know that.
I think we're going to go for a big signing outside of Podence and Horta.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Well, just a little thing about the B team. The thing is, because they got relegated to the third division doesn't allow professional footballers to play. So there's that little issue right there. But the thing is, young players can still qualify for the amateur, for the amateur, how do you call it, credential. So we're waiting to see on that. So that's the thing because of it's because of the third division thing. We have a question about Kalogeropoulos here. Sorry about that. From Fragiskos Veros. What's the situation with Kalogeropoulos? Well, it turns out that the Volos loan deal was a 2-year deal. It seems so. He's going to be at Volos for another.
But that's
year
fine.
on loan.
That's fine. We have too many young central defenders. Like, what do we want? Another 19, 20-year-old central defender? No.
I think he's older than that.
No.
Isn't he?
He's very
Like 20,
young.
21? Is he not? Anyway, he had a
Is he
very good
older?
season
Let
at
me look.
Volos, though. He had a really good season at Volos, and Aris pulled up a few stats on him. He did very well. But yeah, Francisco
He's
Kalogeropoulos will be at
19.
Volos for another
He's
season.
19.
Very
People
well done,
want
Labro. I stand
literally-
corrected.
We don't need another young central defender profile. What we need right now is like a more experienced profile. It's like the first time ever I'm looking at Olympiacos now, like we need an experienced older player. I feel like it's always experienced older players we sign. So it's like now we need an experienced central defender, which I still think we need to do, a right-sided central defender. So
Yeah, I think we need a good profile rather than experienced. Like between 26 and 29, I would say that's the biggest year.
that's what I mean. Yeah, like I
also that kind of player, like 28.
Yeah, something like that, who's played first team football, who's played maybe in a bigger league, who's available for some reason. And yeah, that's what I'm more interested in at central defense. I don't think we need another Greek 19-year-old central defender, even if he had a great season last season. Let him play one more. Let him play 2 years of professional football. Let him come back to us next summer, and then we'll see. But yeah,
Well,
that's
I
sort of
mean,
my opinion.
It's funny that you bring out the profiles because I do believe Olympiacos have signed some interesting profiles. If I can just call them interesting and not go overboard, because Olympiacos have completed signings so far. One of those interesting profiles, in my opinion, is Pirola from Salernitana at centre back. He's a left-footed centre back, and Olympiacos will go and sign a right-footed centre back as well. So Olympiacos are not done with that position. We have Costini at right back, who's a very interesting prospect. He did very well in that Ajax friendly. It was with Ajax, if I remember correctly. We have Dani Garcia in central midfield, a man that Jose Luis Mendilibar knows very well. And I've heard some good things from his time at Athletic Bilbao from Panos Kostopoulos, a friend of the podcast. Do go check his interview with me after Jose Luis Mendilibar's arrival. He was right about a lot of things, if not everything. We have Anagnostopoulos from Kifisia, who signed as a goalkeeper. And of course, we have Stamenic, who joined us on loan from Nottingham Forest, who's a number 6, something Olympiacos desperately needed after Vicente Bora's departure. Quite an interesting prospect right there. So I'm going to start with Labro this time around. Labro, what do you make of our additions so far? I mean, like you said it perfectly. I mean, this is such a different summer because it seems a lot more serious. Because instead of just signing 20 players, instead of getting all those agents on the phone, it seems like there's a bit of conservatism, a bit of consistency, a bit of control in this right now. So what do you make of the transfer policy right now, Labro?
No, I think it's good. I'm looking at the transfer market. I'm confused at goalkeeper what we're doing with Pascalakis and I'm forgetting the name.
Zolakis, and you're talking about Botis as well, who we got from Inter.
We have like
player.
5 Papadoudis. We have the guy from Kifisia. So we have like 5 goalkeepers that need to be sorted out, especially with no B team. So there's definitely something that needs to be done there. I'm looking at the central defense, and we do not have a central defender older than 25 years old. That's crazy. We only have such young defenders. So I think something's going to happen there. Right back, very happy with Costinha. Costinha could be such a revelation. We've heard so many good things from Portugal, from journalists, from other contexts there. Rodinei is on the wrong side of 30. Could this be his last year at the club? He's going to be 33 going into next summer. Maybe he wants to go back to Brazil after 3 years in Greece. I don't know. I think Costinha could be kind of an exciting prospect. I don't know much about him. Haven't watched him, but I think could be very exciting. So I think at right back, we're in very good position. At left back, Apostolopoulos doesn't really excite me as a player very much. I think he's all right, but I do think I trust Mendy Libar's judgment.
I don't want to get you all amped up right now, but I'm hearing
No,
rumors that
no.
Ramon is attracting interest. He really is. He really is attracting interest. What do you make of that? You gotta tell us, Labro.
It's insane that Ramon is attracting interest. Like an actual. Imagine if we get money for Ramon. Like out of all players, you get like 2 million euros.
It's why everyone that has played Football Manager knows that you need to loan your player in Brazil because they have a crazy amount of games. Like they have basically 4-5 competitions, and it's quite easy to have a value that increase. And I think Ramon is a good player, but he wasn't ready at all to come to Olympiacos at that time.
No, he was like a package deal with Rodine, it feels like. But anyway, into the midfield, I think Stamenic and Danny Garcia are like exactly what we needed. I think they'll bring stability to the team. I feel quite confident there. I think our midfield is in good shape. I think we need to sign one more. I think we need Horta, and I think the business there is basically done. I think Muzakitis may make his way into the team. The other youngster, I'm forgetting the name, seems
Papacanelos.
No, in the midfield.
Bakulas.
That guy, Bakulas. Like I think he could be serviceable. I think we just have to wait and see. I don't want to make a judgment. But I think Danny Garcia is going to bring a lot of exciting things to the team as well. So I think we've done really good business so far. I think Gelson Martins looks fit and ready to go.
Yeah.
I think the one position I am worried about is those kind of attacking players, kind of replacing Fortounis and Potence's goal contributions. I think Masuras is still just out of form. At what point do you call it his base level performance versus out of form? He's just doesn't even look, capable in the final third with a team that plays deeper. He doesn't cut into the box. He's not, doing those movements where almost he's a second striker anymore. He's playing too wide. I am worried about that. But I think we'll make signings, and I'm quite happy with what we've done so far. We've just made replacements. We've made some upgrades, and we're just going to have to wait and see. All of the profiles so far for me look good. I don't know what you guys think. There's a few holes in the team, but I think we're like 5 signings away from being ready to go. And then maybe one cherry on the top, like one exciting signing, which I know Marinakis likes to do, is like one big signing out of nowhere. It was Podence last year. I think we could be kind of waiting for one of those profiles, but that's my opinion.
What do you make of all of that, Marcial? I mean, like we said, this is a very different summer, and we're set for a very different season, because let's not forget, this is going to be Olympiacos' 100th year.
I think the summer is pretty much interesting until now. I was quite mad, if I can say that, at the beginning of the summer, because some of the topics should have been closed before, and I mean El Kaabi, with a renewal probably in December, January, because he already scored some goals, and we could have been more quiet in the summer over El Kaabi, because we basically had to offer him crazy amount of money to renew. A part of that, I don't really know Dani Garcia and Stamenic. I'm curious to see them playing. Both of them look talented, and they could bring what Mendilibar is asking. And I don't think we need 4 to 5 players to end the summer transfer. We probably need Velde to be a winger, because I have big doubts over Biel. I don't think Biel can cover Fortounis gap. I do appreciate Biel as a player, but I think after his first season, he can't. I think he suffered a lot for that first season. Like the way he played when he was in Germany pretty much says it all for me. I think he lost something. He probably needs to go back into a lower ranked club, probably in Spain. I don't know to find. I don't know to say, but I think it's mentally broken, if I can say that, in Olympiacos for him. I don't see him being useful, even if I want to believe it. I do believe a lot in the youngsters. Uh, we were all waiting for times like that, and I might be mad saying that, but I think if we can't sign someone that is basically a top player for the league, we should give Mouthakitis, Papacanelos, Kostulas a run. Because if we have to end up third or fourth in the league again, it's better be with Mouthakitis and Kostulas because the value, the experience they have, it will increase, and that's how you build something that will be better in the future. Because the main issue for Olympiacos over the last season is signing players that are a little bit better on paper than what we have currently, and then 1 year later, that they turn out to be useless. Like you have Rangelovic, Kunde, uh,
Kunde's gone.
Abubakar Kamara. I don't know, host of players like uh, Vezo, Cabral, those
Cabral's
unneeded
gone.
unneeded players.
Vezo is gone too. He's not even in the preseason. Like, can we talk about that? Was one of the worst signings we've made?
No,
And
no, yeah, I don't think he's gone from the club. He's not at preseason, but Vezo's not gone from the club. But Cabral was on
no,
loan.
Yeah. No, but I
yeah,
mean, sometimes we sign players just because we need to sign players, and I think that the fan base in general needs to understand that sometimes when you don't do something, it doesn't mean that the team will be shittier. Like, okay, Ajax signs Lamela. They say, yeah, but we signed James, we signed Marcelo, we signed. Look at the team we had uh, in Nantes, for example, in the first game for the Europa League. This is what we want to avoid. Look at the team, how bad that team was, and that was like 2 years ago, and we need to learn from that. Cisse is
You don't
gone.
sound very You don't sound very confident ahead of this season. I have to say, Martial.
No,
You even mentioned if we finish fourth, better be with better be with the
yeah.
youngsters.
No, but it's the last season showed that in January, if you work properly, you can correct the mistakes of the summer. But the main mistakes of the past summers were signing too many players, and that's why I'm confident because we haven't signed too many players. And imagine like it's Tamenic and Danny Garcia didn't get injured. No, Musakidis probably wouldn't have scored that goal. And now
Yeah.
Musakidis has scored that goal, and everyone seems to think that he's good enough to play. And I'm 100% sure he's good enough to be a Super League One starter. What do people think like Super League One is a top league? No, it's not. You can't be 16, 17 and playing in League One. What matters is the team around the player. Like if we don't ask Muzakitis to be the main solution, but if we throw Muzakitis in the Super League One with Mendilibar, with Tsolakis, Retsos, like great players on the team that knows the team, you have Rodinei, you have Ortega, you have Masuras, you have El Kaabi, you have enough securities to throw those players into the game. And
Martial's so right. Like,
we need to take that risk now.
we need to take that risk, and we saw it with Doi, with Michel. Like, when he came in and he played next to Socrates, Doi looked like an interesting profile. And what has he been since? He's been a very mediocre average defender, but we could still sell Doi for around 3 million euros today. I think I'm pretty confident that someone would pay that for his profile. So it's what Pedro Martins did, which was so wrong, was he would play younger players in a fully rotated team. He's like all the young players with like 3 to 4 senior league players. The idea is like you put, let's say, Papa Canelos, you play Musakitis, and then the rest is like a fully strong Olympiacos side. And
Yeah.
that's how it's going to work. That is how it's going to work. And if Mendilibar takes that approach, I think we'll be fine. Especially, like Martial said, like when you play, I don't know, like Asteras Tripoli at home, don't take it. You can experiment. Like it's okay. Like you can play one or two youngsters and can do
Yeah,
something.
Look at Apostolopoulos when he popped on the team. He popped on the team that was like ready, and we barely saw this guy. He was playing with the B team for months. You just need to work with those guys about being focused, being physically ready. But if you throw Apostolopoulos in a team that has a good defense, you have Solakis, you have a right midfield, you have player that works for the team. It's different than throwing youngsters like Martins did in the cup, like in Levadiakos away. You have Apostolopoulos playing with Bagalianis, with Retro's brother. I don't know. You have Martinez on the wing. You have Pinakas as a striker. Like the team looks shit, and of course, it's the only chance that Martins gave to some players.
Yeah.
I don't know, you guys. I have a feeling about Babis Kostulas this season. Everybody keeps talking about El Kabi, and we will get to the players that Olympiacos are trying to keep. But I have a feeling about Babis Kostulas this season. Like, we're talking about bringing in another striker because Stefan Jovetic is gone. But I don't know. I have a feeling that we might be seeing quite a bit of Babis Kostulas. We know for a fact that Rio Ave would want him this season. And in general, everybody needs to know that the whole Vangelis Marnakis taking over the Rio Ave will be the kind of team that will be. It's expected to sign a lot of Nottingham Forest and Olympiacos' talented youngsters on loan mainly to help them develop. That's pretty much what we can expect from Rio Ave. But I have a feeling for Babis this season. I have a feeling that something's going to happen with him. I don't think we're just going to see him in the preseasons and maybe, those kind of games you said, Asteras at home, those kind of things. I have a feeling they're going to create something with this guy, especially if Potense comes in, Horta comes in. You got a really strong core of Olympiacos players, a lot like last season. Eze hasn't played in preseason yet because he's going to be at the Olympics for Argentina. So yeah, I have a feeling for Babis this season.
It's going to be interesting. I think we need one more strong forward. The name was Braithwaite. He traveled back. He traveled to Athens. People thought he was going to sign. It appears that's not going to happen now. We need another strong second forward. I think that's one of the things we need. But Kostulas for sure can start against these teams and kind of build his profile, build his confidence. And Martial, go on.
The thing we need to think on the other side. Like, just look at who played for Olympiacos as strikers over the last 5-6 years. You have Djordjevic, you have Emenike, you have Cardoso, you have Huijo, you have Abubakar Kamara.
Yeah,
but you also have.
Yeah, go on.
No, you tell me. You also have El Arabi,
but I wanted to say that Kostulas is already better than all of them for the club. Like, we all went to the stadium to see those guys. Like, when I went to the stadium to see Huijo play, and I'm 100% sure Kostulas is already better than Huijo. And we don't expect Mendilibar to play Moustakitis 70 times on the season. But if we play 25 times over someone that took those minutes away from youngsters on the past, it's already a good pass toward
training with the first team, playing some matches, playing whatever. It's already a good base for him to come back again. Kostulas again is very young. Isn't he almost 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what is 17 in football nowadays?
I know it's not much, but if Kostulas plays 15, 20 games, but is in training every day, and he's 18 next summer. Oh, he's older. You know what I mean? That's a very good base for us to develop the player at third striker. So,
not even as a third striker. And Martial, you know this. You've spoken with Olympiacos officials, maybe former Olympiacos officials, and they told you that Babis Kostulas would be a starter in France. Didn't they tell you that?
Yeah, just look at his body. He's 17, but I don't think he suffers in duels against more physical defenders. No. And the assist he gave to Gelson was probably a proof that he knows how to move.
His hold-up play is elite. His hold-up play is better than a lot of strike. He's better than Alcabi's hold-up play, which is not saying much, but
the thing
It's
that
impressive.
people need to understand is that we don't need to overload. We don't. We need to avoid to overload players like that with expectations. But having said that, Greece probably never produced so many good players at the same time. Like we have a modern midfielder that is not a super strong midfielder, but with someone with a high IQ in football, like Musakitis, is basically I don't know, Greek Gavi or Greek Pedri. I don't know, someone in
In
the
like
midfield.
2 years, Musakitis, and this is not about Musakitis. Okay, he's a fantastic player. 2 years of first team football, and he would probably be the best eight Greek
Yeah,
player
true, true.
because there's no Greek player in that profile right now. Like we see it consistently. So there's a
Also,
very big opening for him as well.
all those players already beat very more physical sides in the youth league. Like just remember the games against Bayern, the game against Milan, the games against Nantes. All those teams had more physical player than the Greek than Olympiacos under 19. So it's I've seen some comments like probably Fetfadzidis was a more talented player, but the 2010 2000 football was different. Like Kostulas nowadays, if you throw this guy into 2010 football, it would destroy the football because
The
he's
players are
more
so much
ready.
more modern. There's so much more understanding and preparedness by the players, by the staff. Also, the players have seen, I don't know if it's social media, like calling players busts and flops and all these things. Like, they know not to go out and drink and go to clubs, and they have profiles now. Like, you see it, like Yamal is almost media trained, like knows what to do. These players are so much more advanced. I don't know why, but like they're just than
Yeah,
what maybe it's the social media generation that we've grown up in, but players are so much more understanding. And Kostulas, like, he has a strong family background as well from the father, so it's like
yeah,
there's very good signs. There's very good signs. And again, like 2 3 of these profiles, 4 of these profiles, I also think a lot of people will will say stuff like where they're like, oh, if they're not BAMs or they're not so good immediately, if they're not Zolakis, if they're not Oretsos already, they're not super exciting. But the thing is, guys, it's weird to say this, but like a Doi is successful from the academy. Like Doi will be
yeah.
sold and he will play first division football somewhere and be an Olympiacos academy, a grad. Like that is a success for the academy. Like even if these players leave and they're not stars, like if they're gone for 2 to 3 million, you'll hear this from people around the team, like Anigo and people who understand academies. Like if people graduate from the academy, they play a little bit of first team at Olympiacos and they leave, even if it's for like 2 to 3 million euros, that is a success. Like that is a success of our academy and developing these players and
Yeah,
sending
and
them out.
something that is not said enough because, like, basically we had an academy product at the Euro with Kazim Lassi, and like
Yeah.
some people don't realize like what it takes for a club to have like Saliakas getting into Bundesliga. You have Nicolaou that is still playing in Italy, just change club
Hmm.
in the summer. So we had like for years those players coming through academy, and now we had like 5 6 of them at the same time, and Papa Canelos won't replace Podense. It's not possible. But Papa
Yeah.
Canelos will replace De La Fuente. It will replace Cabral.
Hmm.
It will replace uh, those shitty players with Solbakken. It will replace Carpa. If you combine those players over the
And
last
the salaries, like let's
yeah
combine the salaries of those players, and then we go for 2 to 3 targeted players
yeah
who will bring your team to another level. It's
yeah
like unlocking a key. Like it
yeah.
will be very fucking important.
Just look
So
at football.
yeah,
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to see academic product being sacrificed because you need money, but it's what it is. And if we have to sell a player, you mentioned Endoy. If Endoy is sold for 1.5 million, it's already good business. Yeah, because
no, and
1.5 million is really difficult for a club like us.
you'll
Yeah.
see like the failures at Olympiacos, like the failures of the academy. Let's say like the guys who left, like Lazzi, like Sayakas, like, I don't know, Likoyannis left, Siopis kind of, I don't know if he's academy product, not
Yeah,
really academy
not
product.
exactly. I
But
don't think
now
so. Yeah.
these players who leave, who failed at the academy, they have good careers abroad and they're key parts of a national team, right? Like these are successes. Like even if these players leave and go abroad and weren't successes at Olympiacos, we are still building something, a fucking what? How would you say? Almost like alumni of the academy. That's very impressive, and will help. As we get more players going abroad, Greek players, Augustine Ba, whatever, the reputation of the academy and the players who come out of the academy in the future grows. Like players, team scouting, Olympiacos Academy will say, okay, we know Doyle, he turned into a decent player in Germany, or he played in Austria, or he plays for his national team. Whatever. These little things expands the reputation. So it's so important. It's so, so important. So let's see. Maybe they don't turn into stars for Olympiacos, but there we go.
The effort needs to happen. And guys, like, I mean, we're over an hour here. If you haven't done so, please do like and subscribe, so we can keep bringing you all this amazing content. If you haven't done so, please do check our interview with Olympiacos Vice President Kostas Karapapas. Labros was there alongside the other two OGs in Aris Bouloubasis and Kostas Levoyan. Some very interesting topics. He did talk about those youngsters and he did address signings. So when it comes to signings, though, when it comes to the players that we're trying to sign right now, Olympiacos are obviously trying to get Andre Horta, who is going to cost, who it seems like the thing about Horta, what we know about Horta is that he loves to play. He loves to be a big part of the team. He does believe a lot in himself. I mean, remember that post-match interview after the final against Fiorentina, when he did take a dig at those that didn't believe in him. He's going to cost up to €6 million. That's what Braga. That's how much Braga rate him. He is open to returning to Olympiacos. He just wants to play ball, really. Daniel Podence, what I have heard is he could cost between 5 to 10 million. He has his contract runs out in June 2025. So Wolves do face the prospect of losing him for free. We did mention the fact that he doesn't have a lot of interest. There has been interest from Saudi Arabia last summer, but he wasn't keen. Podence wants to come to Olympiacos. He's made it clear. He's bought a house in Glyfada, is what I heard. And he wasn't part of the friendly against Bristol City. The incident with Carmo when he punched a player in the face after an alleged racist incident against Huang Hee-chan didn't play a role because FIFA and UEFA cannot impose sanctions when it comes to friendly matches, but he was not part of that game. I did seem to remember Gary O'Neill didn't rate him. Now we're hearing that he does rate him right now, but it doesn't really look likely that he's going to be part of Wolves, especially considering his contract. But he wants to return to Olympiacos like crazy. Ayoub El Kabi, it seems like this is almost done for Olympiacos, almost set to sign a new contract, another 2-year contract with Olympiacos with an option to sign for a further one. I'm hearing this could be a £5.5 million contract for 2 years. That is a record contract for Olympiacos. No one has ever got a contract like that. And obviously, we're hearing that Olympiacos are trying like crazy to sign Christopher Velde. It seems like a deal of around €4 million is closed with Lech Poznan. The player is keen. He has interest from the MLS. He's not keen to go to the MLS. Talks are ongoing, but this could drag, just like everything else could drag. Velde, Horta, and Podence, it seems like it's going to drag, but El Kabi almost done. So what do you make of all of this situation, guys? I'm going to start with Martial this time around.
I don't really know Velde, to be honest. I don't know what to expect. I really hope he won't be sacrificed if Podence comes back. If Podence comes back, the one that has to be sacrificed would be Biel for me. The one that has to leave needs to be Biel. And because I don't want something to something like Bernic to happen again. Like we splash money. It's not the same profile, but we can't afford to splash money on a winger and not use him because we don't have B team anymore, and we don't have space for that. But I'm curious to see an informed player, someone like coming off good numbers such as Despodov, and I'm not comparing to Despodov, but a top player from a lower Eastern Europe league could be a solution for Olympiacos. and I'm really expecting Horta to come back because I think that it will be the most useful loanees if we can have him back. Of course, I'm not mentioning Podence because Podence for me is like out of the world for Olympiacos. I still don't understand how he got back last summer and how he could come back this summer. But Horta is a hybrid midfielder, so if we can get him, we would solve probably a lot of solution. Also, we've seen Mendelibar using Endoy as a six. Maybe he's thinking switching him back if needed in some Greek game. I don't know.
Doi needs to go. Like Doi is done. To be honest with you guys, there's a few players like Doi is. I think it's time for both parties. Like honestly, I think Doi could go to like a Greek team on loan. I think that would benefit him.
Such as when you have your high school love, you need to leave the city. You have a new
you
job
gotta
in another
let
city.
him go. Let him go. Literally, Doi just God, like a loan at Califea would do him good. Maybe if we can't sell him, you know what I mean? It's just
No, I think he needs a low. It needs exactly what Nicolaou got when he went to Italy. Loan with option is good. Is both by the club. If he's not good enough, he goes back and we see if he has improved. I think he needs to leave the Greek context, like the Olympiacos Greek context, to improve.
I think Serie B would be good. Like second division of Italy, I think would be a really good move for him. So
he is playing as a number 6 though in preseason. He's not playing as a center back.
He's not the level. He's like not the level. It's very clear. I don't know what else to say. Like I think he needs a fresh start. I think we need a fresh start. Yeah, I don't know. I just think everyone needs a new start. But I agree with Martial. Like we're gonna have to see this winger from Poland is very interesting. He's Argentinian. Velde. Norwegian
of Argentinian heritage. Yeah.
I think it's an interesting profile. Like I think we're gonna have to wait and see, and see what plays out. The next few weeks are going to be very important for a few moves. I think also I'm surprised that there's no links to any left backs. I really think we need a left back.
Omar Richards is not going back to Nottingham Forest. That's something I know. So
well, he scored a goal in a friendly for them 2 days ago. So
yeah. But they're not planning on keeping him. That's what I.
So maybe Omar Richards comes at the end of the window again after a preseason. So we shall see. But honestly, I'm fine right now. I think we're gonna have to wait, see how things play out. The other Greek sides play football on Wednesday. I'm really looking forward to having Greek football back. It's Olympiacos should be playing right now. It's just the Conference League has changed so much. It has changed the planning and development of the team. So I think that's it for me on my side for this pod. We're at an hour and 19 minutes almost, but I think everything is very positive right now. We need to support the club's new approach to transfers. Not so many not so many big flashy names, but kind of grounded. They have a few profiles, they go for it, and they're patient. I think Horta will be ours for like 3 million euros, like somewhere around there. Like I don't think he will. I don't think they will.
6.
There's no way they're getting 6 million euros. They paid 3 million to the MLS for him. I think 3.5 million is probably they'll get their money back and some because of the loan fee. So I think he'll be back relatively soon.
The thing I just want to say before we conclude is that it's the thing that AEK or Panathinaikos is splashing money on big wages, especially for Greek players. I think it's a sign that we choose the right path. We don't need to spend a lot on wages if we have players that come from the academy, and I think that is what gave PAOK stability over the years. Because if you take a look, like Savidis is not spending a lot in the team. Lushescu is doing wonders. because the youngsters like feels a lot of gaps in the team. And someone like you mentioned that earlier, but someone like Zimas went on loan with a like 20 million option. Like, of course, Nuremberg is not going to trigger the option, but youngsters on the market is what gives you stability and power. And what if, I don't know, what if Musakidis like played 30 games this season and is sold 25 millions the next summer? We get Potency on a free and we can sign like 2-3 good players. Meanwhile, a fourth ranked AEK team needs to offload Lamela because he has been shit for the whole season. We chose that path over the last 2 seasons, and look where it took us. We won the Conference League because we had a crazy winter market, but personally, I won't be stressed over AEK and Panathinaikos because it's just a card, a castle made of cards. Sometimes the basis
House
will.
of cards.
Yeah, sometimes sooner or later the basis will just I don't know, crush. And look at the Panathinaikos first friendlies without fans because they don't believe in the team. Like they barely signed players. They retained Ioannidis for the whole summer because they wanted to pay the percentage to Levadiakos, but we need to have higher goals than comparing to AEK and Panathinaikos for me, even if we barely can't beat them on the league.
But people are talking about Panathinaikos signing Ingasan and things like that. I think there's quite a bit in Greek football. There's a bit of like laziness of signing players have been around for years. You see it all the time. It's like, oh, we saw Ingasan, so let's bring him to Panathinaikos. Or, Pauk, it's like, oh, Madi Kamara is there. Let's get Madi Kamara. He's available on a free. And it's just, it's, you see those type of transfers sometimes, and they're not the most exciting to me. But we're gonna see. I think Panathinaikos is probably like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
It could go really bad, really quick.
1.6 million for Giannoulis is crazy. He's a good player.
Well,
I would be happy to have him on the team, but not for that price.
What is Giannoulis, man?
Well. I mean, the thing is, I was at Leoforos in our last match last season against Panathinaikos, the 2-2 draw, and I have to say one of the things that really shocked me was when they announced the lineup. You know how it is when they announce the lineup, when everybody goes Ole after every name. I barely heard an Ole after every name. Some of the names didn't even get a single Ole. Some of them got an Ole. Whereas Karaiskaki, at Aston Villa, we heard Keeney's name. It was like Ole, come on, Keeney. At right back, at left back. But anyway, like I see what you're saying. But anyways, because I have to shoot, guys. I will say this: Olympiacos have only played 2 preseason friendlies. It's only been 10 days in this preseason, and we're already seeing an identity in the way that they play. They're missing some really important players. Eze is not there. Potensi is not there. Orta is not there. Fortounis is gone. Carmo is gone. And they're already showing the high press. They're already showing the tight lines. They're not leaving gaps at the back. That includes the kids who have never played for Olympiacos and an official game for Olympiacos. Yeah. We're already seeing an identity at Olympiacos. And Ajax, of course, they beat Olympiacos, but they're far more prepared. And Olympiacos looked very good against them. And Ajax are playing a Europa League qualifier on Wednesday against Vojvodina. That's how ready they are. And I'm very excited to see what Zelson Martins does this coming season. We're talking about Daniel Podence, how important it is to sign him, and it is. And they are going to go and sign him even if Velde arrives. But Zelson Martins, a healthy Zelson Martins can do wonders. So, guys, I am very excited. I love what I'm seeing so far, and I'm very much looking forward to see what happens next.
Yeah. Costa, thank you so much. I think I'll close on a few things about that on the preseason. What we're seeing, and Mattia, I don't know if you agree, but this high pressing physical style of football, and people are just going in about Retsos running, but this sort of backline of Abi, Retsos, and the way we're going to play I think we're going to play a high line, and we're going to need physical and quick defenders moving forward. And Abi and Retsos, whatever they are that. So they're also ball playing players. They can play high up. They're comfortable on the ball. Retsos made a lot of individual mistakes last season, but it was also his first season of professional football in almost like years, healthy full season. I'm hopeful of an improval on the mental mistakes, but I also think when you watch the level of professional football teams that play with the ball, play high up, even Manchester City, like no comparison here, but like the individual defenders will make mistakes because of the pressure and the play style, but that's forgotten in aspects because of the contributions and goals that are produced from that play style. So we shall see. Like I still expect Retros to make mistakes. Abby will make mistakes, but that's also the style of play that Mendilibar is establishing of this like very physical, high pressing, fast playing team that overwhelmed Ajax in the second half as well. That's what won us the Conference League, that kind of 4-4-2 pressing scheme, and I expect it to stay. So anyway.
No, but the thing is, like when you think about it, last season we had so many internal issues to solve at the same time that's why it's so crazy to have won a European trophy, because you had like Rezos that has spent the last 5 seasons barely playing because he was injured all the time. You have a changing goalkeeper. You have Kini, both right back, left back when needed. You had Apostolopoulos coming in the semifinal.
Second leg, yeah.
Yeah. You have a whole midfield that had changed during the winter. You had Iborra coming back as a starter out of nowhere. You had El Kaabi that turned into basically the better striker in Europe on the last 2-3 months of the. That's why it's not. We won't be able to do that again because it was a mix of different factors.
Yeah.
And this preseason without qualifiers should be stressed less, and it's difficult for us Olympiacos fans to accept that because we're used to that stress. But
yeah,
and when you look at the team, you look at, for example, PAOK. If PAOK gets Chalov, I think it's a very good signing. But the main goal for PAOK is to go to Champions League, and you have no guarantee to succeed in that. Same for Panathinaikos. They will play against Plovdiv, which is a strong Bulgarian side, like not the biggest club, but quite a strong side. And I don't know, for the first time in years, we don't have that stress. And I've just looked the schedule of the league. Like we basically need to win every game until the first derby, which is against Panathinaikos on October 5. The schedule is like not easy, but we can win all those games. Right?
There's no rush to make moves. There's no pressure. There's no rush.
Yeah, I think
work on. Yeah,
it's insane for me to be stressed not to win Greek games with like someone like Pep Biel. Okay, Pep Biel is not Podense, it's not Fortounis, but if he can't score at home against Kalitea, do you remember the game against Pasianina? We went to that game. It was
very good with
super clear of any random Greek league defender.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see, like the fact we won against Malin quite easily. It's a good sign too, because smaller sides we need to win those games.
And the press is overwhelming on those smaller sides. Like it's very overwhelming. So I'm very calm. I'm very confident. I'm gonna wait and see, of course, but no more meltdowns. Like, why are people having meltdowns all the time on social media or upset? Just like calm down. This is going well. Let the team build. They're being very patient. Like they're not gonna. Everyone's like, why don't you just give 6 million for Podense? Why don't you give the money? Because you don't have to. You just need to play it out. Just play it slowly. There's no rush. Like Martial says, we do not play a derby until the first week of October. We don't play Europe, I think, until second half of September. It's like calm. Everyone needs to be calm. And
I think it's difficult. For me, it was difficult to understand that. I think we lost time on contracts. The way we handled contracts was bad.
Yeah.
Having said that, we got rid of a lot of players already, which is good sign. And the group that went to preseason had a lot of youngsters in it, which is a good sign too.
Yeah.
And what we need is avoid injuries on key players, like serious injuries. That, for example, Gelson Martins getting injured, El Kaabi, and we are going to enter the season with confidence. That's sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Podense probably won't be there. Fortounis has left, but we still have Tsolakis, we still have Rezos, we still have Rodinei. Ortega is
The
getting
defensive
better.
line is very stable. You lose
Yeah,
Carmo, but you have five, or you
yeah,
have four of the five still there.
yeah.
Okay, Abi, we have very confident things to say about him. Pirola, it's okay. It's okay. The midfield is established. The midfield is going to be established like confident players. It is literally goal contribution. And I will say, like you mentioned, Gelson Martins at his level, at his peak, at health, is a player that was higher than Podense. Like, it's weird to say that, but Gelson Martins is like a 30, 40 million euro player at his peak, and
yeah.
injuries have brought him down. A preseason opportunity, a calm working environment, a nice place to be, positive attitudes after the Conference League. Like, I think we can hope. We can't count on it for sure, but we can hope for a high level from Gelson Martins.
Yeah.
It's a player who
We,
could be very good,
we've
very
seen
fucking
it on the
good.
few games he played in the league. Like,
It's a player who, if healthy and he had some issues off the field, like could be at a very, very high level. So
yeah,
it's hopeful we sign maybe this guy from Poland. Let's see. El Kabi is still there. We need a striker. And you're looking at a team that will be comfortable, that will be very comfortable going and winning these games in Greece as we commit and get those final pieces. So everyone needs to calm down. Let's not freak out by any news or not lack of news. So we shall see. Like, we will see what happens, and you know, be happy that the club is in the position they are in right now versus where we were almost 2 years ago, signing almost 20 players in the summer. That's not the
yeah.
place we want to be. Like, the club is much more stable now, and
Yeah, 2 years
it's
ago, I think we did pretty much like Batman when he goes to see, you know, what's the name of the actor? When he goes to work on his equipment and
yeah,
he has a secret line on the books, and he goes to the basement, and like the club was like that, like we're gonna sign Burnage, we're gonna
yeah.
sign Razor Wong, we're gonna sign random players for the B team, we're gonna sign Ali Gazic, we're gonna sign lots of players we forgot already.
Yeah. No, the
Not having,
approach this year is much better. Like, it's
I,
much better.
I think the fact that we don't have anymore the B team to
It's good, maybe
yeah,
even.
because the B team was used, for example, to say, oh, it's if it's not good enough for the first team, it's gonna be with the B team, and the B team, the Olympiacos B team, probably worse than a lot of B teams in the world. And
Yeah. It was, and we would sign mediocre players and be like, "Oh, they'll be in the B team." Like, why are you signing mediocre players to be in
yeah,
the B team? It's so stupid. Like, why? It's
yeah,
anyway. Guys, we're on an hour and a half. I think that's it for today. We just need to repeat. It's July. Patience, patience, patience. Um, the core key pieces are still there and slowly but surely being put in place. I think we just need to be calm, and we're going to be, if we can support the club, be quiet, support them and the path that they're going on, I think we will be treated with some exciting developments in the next few months. So that's my opinion. um, I don't know if you have anything else to say, in Martial, in closing.
no, we can save the moan for later in the season,
Yeah,
I
we
think.
can start complaining if there's major issues, if we lose the first game against Califea and we have no signings. That's a different story, but we wait and see. So that's my opinion
Yeah,
on the matter. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us this evening to talk about Olympiacos. Like we said, we were a bit on earlier than usual. That's how times worked out. Sorry about that. But we will be back probably next week or the week after, covering Olympiacos and all the news and rounding things up. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a great week. If you're on vacation, enjoy the vacation season. For all of our followers working on the islands, the younger people, wish you good work. Don't die out there on those beaches.
yeah.
Make some good money. Enjoy yourself. Good night, everyone.
Bye bye.